Hey guys, how's it going? It's currently May 10 here in Australia, so that makes it Mother's Day, and a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I'm talking about the real mothers, okay? Not you shit cunts that just raise your children reluctantly. I was meant to do this video yesterday, and I didn't plan this. It's a coincidence when I made that Ask Me Anything video, when I said in a fortnight I'd do the responses, that just so happened to land on the 9th of May, which is my birthday. So I turned 31 yesterday, and I kind of just thought, I don't really want to be doing this on my birthday. I kind of just want to be, having a relaxing time, shooting the shit with people I know, stuff like that. So, anyway, and I've gotten the Mother's Day crap out the way, visited her, gave her gifts, blah, blah, blah. So, anyway, now I've got some time to sit down and actually do this. So, when I did that Ask Me Anything video, I asked people to ask the questions on that specific video on YouTube, and one person, you know who you are, you're legend, decided asking questions, which I know I don't have that many subscribers, but I really thought more people were going to be asking questions, especially since that's what I asked for. But hey, whatever, it's cool, you guys do you. Some other people I know don't have a YouTube account, so they couldn't submit the questions that way, so they did it through Facebook Messenger on the Protective Offense Facebook page. And other people I know in real life don't have a YouTube account or a Facebook account or anything on social media. They've just gone dark. And yeah, so when I was hanging out with them in person, because they watched my videos, and they said, hey, can I just submit a question here for you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. I think they kind of already knew the answer. I think they just wanted to make these videos a little bit more interesting. So anyway, I took on their questions. I've got those in front of me. Let's get this on the way. I'll start off with the questions that were submitted by, I presume this YouTube name is it Leanne Peasy? If I'm fucking that up, if you're, I don't even know what gender you are, if you're a guy or a girl, whatever, but if I'm fucking that YouTube name of yours up, I apologize. So, in order of these questions that were asked, any popular self-defense YouTubers you find uninformative or just plain annoying/wrong? Yes. And I was having to think about this question as well as to how I would answer it, because I could easily answer it, but, on one hand, I do find a few popular, either they're martial arts instructors, self-defense instructors, or firearms instructors. I do find some of them quite annoying. However, they are still pretty, decent at what they do. It's just their delivery of how they do it. So I won't mention any particular names, but some of them, like, are firearms instructors who just teach civilians, but they're acting like an overzealous drill instructor. I'm like, guys, just calm your fucking enthusiasm down, okay? Just relax. As far as ones that are just plain wrong with information, like, there's a bunch of them. I wouldn't really say a lot of them are popular, and if they are, I guess I just haven't stumbled upon enough of them, because if I see something that I don't really like, I'm not one of those people that does this entire paragraph of, oh, you're a shit cunt, you know what you're doing, blah, 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 blah. I just don't go back and watch any more of their content. That's just how I am. So, yeah, I can't really think of any in the sense that are wrong, but annoying, yes. The main one, and I will mention this person's name because he's not an educator, he's an entertainer, and that's FPS Russia. Now, my problem isn't with so much him per se, it's really his fan base, because at least here in Australia, something you need to understand about Australian content in the way that the general population view firearms and stuff like that. Most Australians think Americans are just gun-toting fucking idiots, and everyone in Australia is just a magical fucking genius by comparison. It's not true. There's a bunch of fuckheads I meet every single day in this country, just dumb cunt galore. And so, at least with a lot of people that I've met in person that don't know, they don't know anything about firearms except kind of like how to identify them if they see it, and what the trigger is, and where the fucking bullet comes out of, and that's about all. But they don't really know anything else about, firearms. However, they do find FPS Russia's channel very entertaining, and so the problem is that they'll watch a lot of his videos and stuff like that, where he'll say something like, if you watch his video, I think it was called Big Wet Jugs, where he's just showing different caliber impacts on jugs filled with water. And so you can sort of learn something like that. However, it was, I guess, more or less meant to be done from an entertaining point of view than an educational one. And there was a part in the video where he said you don't need to wear ear protection outside, which is not true. And I'm sure a lot of you already watching this know that's not true. Even if you're firing a bullet of a lower caliber that doesn't make as loud of a decibel when it's detonated, or discharged, whatever you want to call it, you still need ear protection. Even if it's like a 22, over time that will gradually build up, and so it doesn't matter if you're indoors, outdoors. I don't care if they somehow figure out a way to make firearms function in outer space. If you're an astronaut, you need ear protection, okay? Not to mention there was the part where he nearly killed himself with a chunk of a fucking car. Genius. And the other one was where he was testing out this body armor, and he mentioned that he wanted to prove his faith in the body armor by having someone shoot him with the real bullet. My brain flatlined when I fucking saw that. And he was like, no, everyone commented telling me it was a bad idea. My agent told me it was a bad idea. Fucking wonder why. So, anyway, even though he's not quite, you know, I would say a great representation of people that own firearms, in terms of safety and stuff like that, yeah, it's really the fan base who view his material as more educational than, you know, entertainment. So, you know, there's that. So, yeah. Alright, so... And he hasn't uploaded shit in ages. I don't know why that is. And so, anyway. Yeah. As far as the annoying part of other people that are playing wrong, yeah, I can mention some names of people. However, it's maybe like only less than 1% of the stuff that I find wrong. And so I don't really want to, say, call them out on like one thing they did wrong when 99% of the stuff is really good. So, you know. There's that. Let's see. What other questions does this gentleman ask me? Or lady? I don't know. I'll just say this. What this YouTuber has asked me. Let's see. Would you ever consider a podcast format? Actually, yes, I would. With that being said, I don't really think I would want to discuss firearms and stuff like that. And I also don't really particularly think that I'd even want to discuss martial arts. Maybe self-defense with the right people, because self-defense and martial arts are two different things. One is self-protection, the other is self-perfection. One is an art, another one is something that's meant to keep you safe until you know, get home. Or at least out of the danger zone. Call it Kenny Loggins. And so, my problem with talking to other people that are like really into guns and stuff like that is they get really... I don't know, I guess like pretentious about, you know, if I say I don't like 1911s, which I don't, the gun, like, here's the thing, like, when the gun came out, yeah, it was great then, but now there's just better alternatives that you can get that fires the same, you know, type of caliber, so, and it just seems to me like most of the people that, you know, want that gun are the people that think that plastic guns aren't real gun, or the really overly... like patriotic Americans. And I'm not trying to take the piss out of America here, because I know most of my subscribers are from America. I'm just saying that when you start putting, you know, patriotism before logic, that's where shit can get dangerous, okay? So, you know, me in Australia, if there's a product that's made in Australia that wasn't all that great, and there was an alternative that was made in another country that was better, especially in terms of something that's there to protect my life or someone else's life, that's the one I want to go with. So let's just say it's something as simple as a EpiPen. You know, they're designed to save lives, and so if Australia made one that was kind of not great in all areas, maybe like 70% there, and then, you know, let's say some place in Europe made an EpiPen that was, I don't know, 99%, you know, effective, that's the one I would want to get in order to save my life. Not that I need an EpiPen for anything, I've got no conditions like that, but anyway, so... yeah, so far as the podcast format goes, yeah, I'd really like to do that. There's actually other people that at least were on YouTube that I do listen to podcasts of, but it's typically not really much to do with firearms or self-defense. It's really more just stuff like video game stuff, because I don't know, I just find stuff like that entertaining. So the podcast I really like was one that was comprised of, when it started, 4 YouTubers and then got dropped down to 3, and every now and then they get other guest stars on. It was called the Hate-Bit Podcast. So it's a play on words for 8-bit, because it's a bunch of guys, all 4 of them, they're metalheads, and guys that love video games, and so they just got together and talked about that. Somehow wrestling came up in every video, and I don't really care that much about professional wrestling. Like, wrestling as a sport is fine, as, you know, like Catch As Can and, you know, other kind of stuff like that, but, yeah, so, yeah, if I was going to do a podcast format, I'd need to be very particular with who it is that I want to speak to, especially since a lot of people on there, especially from martial arts backgrounds, traditional martial arts backgrounds, I don't know, they just kind of get turned into absolute dickheads. And the people I really hate talking to about martial arts are people that have dabbled in it a little bit, because they fucking act like they know everything about it. And I don't really mind being asked stupid questions, because it at least implies some, you know, level of humility that you're willing to be indoctrinated to information. That's why you ask the question. Stupid fucking statements is the thing that pisses me off the most. And so, I could go on about this a bit more, but anyway, So yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a podcast format, but then again, there's also a lot of stuff about my background I don't really want to talk about. Other stuff as well, legally speaking, I kind of can't. And I don't want people, because usually whenever there's like a podcast that I listen to, people always ask the people like, what it is that they got them into the style that they've done or something, or what their background is, and so about 50% of that content's going out the fucking window, because I'm going to be like, next question, next question, next question. Anyway, and if there's another YouTuber I like as well that does live stream sort of stuff, and that's Yell Chaos. He was, I guess, like the anchorman of the Hatebit podcast, but he does side stuff as well. So, either on the Hatebit podcast or Yell Chaos, either one of those two channels, I wouldn't mind being a guest star on there and just having a, fun chat about stuff. My favorite YouTuber, by the way, is Alpha Omega Sin. It's one word. He's one of also the members on the Hatebit podcast, but he's got his own individual channel, and I watched a lot of his stuff before I found out about the Hatebit podcast, and so if he ever does something like that as well, it'd be cool to have a chat with him. So, just depends on what happens, but on my own channel, I don't think I'd really do a podcast thing where I'm like the main dude, at least yet, unless maybe I get other guest stars on there and I just like be the interviewer. That'd be really cool. So I don't have to talk about that much about myself. I can speak to other people, or I could be a guest star on other people's channels as well. So that'd be cool. I've never done one before either, so I have no idea how to set up the live stream and all that bullshit. But I'll figure it out. If it ever gets to that extent. I think I spent way too much time on this question, so sorry. I'll move on. Let's see. What's your goal for your YouTube channel? Is this just a hobby or promotional material for business? Not really. I think I just kind of like did this initially because I was bored, and I was just posting up like little bits of videos here and there, and then my most popular videos are clearly the ones about Center Access Relock. The main reason why I put up those particular videos was just the fact that I'd seen so much other material on YouTube that was wrong, and I guess this kind of like goes back to the first question that this guy asked me, where people were just doing things like the wrong way, like they'd be bending their wrists when they were holding the gun, their thumbs wouldn't be together or stuff like that, or maybe the gun would be way down where the stomach is if it was in the close quarter position as opposed to like right on the chest. So, excuse me. Excuse me. All right, so. Yeah, that's why I decided to do that. So, I think it just kind of came out of, maybe just, the fact that I just kind of like bored being at home and stuff like that when I wasn't out doing other things to make an income. So, I don't really have a long-term goal for this channel. It's just whenever I think of a subject matter that I think, isn't quite readily available on YouTube already by other people, then I can, throw my hat into the ring, so to speak. And no, none of this is really promotional material for my business, because I'm a private instructor when I'm not, doing other kind of things outside of that. And so really, all that just came around just, word of mouth. So it started off, when I was 18 actually is when I started instructing for money. But when I was in high school, I was just teaching other friends and stuff like that. And so I kind of always had this knack for getting information across, which I can do better in person as opposed to talking to a camera. Just... I don't know, I think just like that real-time information where people are asking questions and I got them there in front of me and I know exactly who it is I'm dealing with in the flesh is different to the people I have no clue who the fuck this information is getting to on YouTube. So I know some people like the way that I convey information, other people don't, and that's fine. But yeah, in person is where really I'm the best at conveying information. So, there's that, and then other people that I teach, they'll, recommend me to some other people, and so, that's basically just how that works. So, yeah, in terms of my goal for this YouTube channel, I'm going to try and keep it alive as long as I can, and, when I'm not being such a lazy turd, try and make some videos, but, yeah, I don't really always know what people want exactly, so, and the information that I put out there that I think is quite useful tends to be the videos that get the lowest views. I mean, I did a video titled, I think it was like, Don't Open the Yellow Container or something like that. It was just about a sharps kid and why you need to leave him the fuck alone, How many people do you think viewed that video? Not many. Although I think that's, at least for the area I live in, something that would be, pretty useful and informative. But, people want to watch what they want to watch, I guess. So, anyway, like the people that decided to tune in for this video, which I appreciate. And I, thank you for spending time away from internet porn to watch my shit for a bit. This isn't going to get sexual, so, I'm sorry. Alright, next question, Stewdust. I keep implying he's a guy. Why do I do that? Anyway, sexist. do you have prior law enforcement or military experience? A lot of people seem to ask me this question, and alright, I'm not going to talk about everything that I have done. I will mention, because you asked politely, what I haven't done. So in terms of the military experience, when I was 19, I signed on to, be a rifleman in the Australian Defence Force. And so other people as well have implied, because that video I did where I talked about my conditions and, mental conditions, stuff like that, and the disabilities. People thought, oh, so that's why you haven't had, experience in, law enforcement or the military. Well, here's the thing. All the conditions I have aren't severe enough to disqualify... yeah, great, I'm fucking up the words and everything like that while trying to illustrate my point where they're not severe. They're not severe enough to disqualify me from any of those particular line of work. And so I did the theory-based tests and stuff like that for when you join the ADF or when you want to join. And so there was a building, you book an appointment, you go there with a bunch of other guys, you fill out like the forms and stuff like that, you they put you on a computer, and this was back in something like 2009, I think it was, when I did this. And so things might be different now, but this is what it was like back then. Anyway, and yeah, so then they give you the sheet of everything that they say, here, here's everything you can do, and then I did the eye test thing, and blah 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 with the nurse, answered the standard questions, and yeah, so I could have actually been in the army. The reason why I chose not to join is because after I did all the forms and stuff like that, submitted everything, about less than a week later I got a phone call from them, and I thought it was going to be telling me I'll get to move to the next stage now. And they said, yeah, we lost all your forms. Can you come in and do it again? Yeah, so this, I don't know, I thought they're that incompetent they lost a whole bunch of fucking forms and shit like that, and then they want me to go fight for them? No. And so I chose not to do that. And then, less than a month or so after that, I had another friend who was doing some other work overseas, and so he, we trained together previous in self-defense systems and all that, so he knew what I could do and that I had the mindset for stuff that he did. And he said, hey man, do you want to come over here just and do what I'm doing? Complete the course that we have set up, and then, all is good if you pass. I said, yeah, why not? And so I ended up doing that instead. So started off doing bodyguarding work overseas, but everything else I'm not going to mention. But yeah, it started off as bodyguarding and slash third-party protection, because it wasn't always a person, it was just equipment and shit that held high value in the place that I was at. So, sorry, I've got a bit of a coarse throat today. Some delicious vanilla Coke will get rid of that. Ah, that's good stuff. And so, I then later met a lot of other people that were in the Australian Defence Force who told me just how absolutely fuckwitted a lot of the people are that are in that particular branch. So you got, obviously, like Navy, Air Force, and then Army. So people in the Army, including the guns that they have, what I was told by one of the other girls who I was training with in Krav Maga, like a couple of years back, she said that when you get them, they don't clean them regularly, and you get them their styers, an Australian variant of a styer, and they just leave them in a shed or whatever, and they collect dust and all this other shit, and you really got to clean them well before they'll even work. And so, what she also told me as well, the physical trainers don't even these days push people to like a limit. They just go, oh well, you're just letting yourself down, or it was either she said that, or she's like, oh well, this is just on you or whatever, or I've got no motivation to push you. So yeah, that was, I don't know, I kind of felt like everything that I could do was better used elsewhere. So ultimately, yeah, I'm kind of glad I didn't join the Australian Defence Force. I know that's kind of a shitty thing to say, but yeah, and I'm not saying everyone in the ADF is completely, useless, but, if there's like one useless person that's on your team, they're going to drag you down with them. So, as for law enforcement, no, I've never been involved in law enforcement or anything like that either. I did, however, work as an informant for police officers years ago. That's pretty much the closest thing, and so that did involve getting quite close to some other gangs and things like that in order to, get information. And I'm not talking about petty shit like, oh, this guy was smoking pot. No, this was some serious kind of stuff. These are really bad fucking people. And so, Alright, next question. When and how did you discover your interest in self-defense? I know, well, I was bullied a lot during my years in primary school, so I guess when I discovered that, because, you know, me being really young and naive when I was like 5 and 6, I thought, because, you know, there was this show, movie series I'd watched called the Three Ninjas, or was the Three Little Ninjas, you know, Rocky, Colt, and Tum Tum, and so I just thought that it would, you know, took years before you were able to build up any skills in order to effectively fight someone off, until, you know, there was friends of the family, you know, former military and whatnot, that, you know, knew I was being bullied and stuff like that by some other, you know, shitty cunt kids whose parents didn't love them enough, and so they just showed me some very simple, you know, basic techniques for how to, you know, like block in areas to strike where I wouldn't get, you know, such a severe detention. And I'm like, oh, this is really interesting, and well, you know, I've got a knack for this, and yeah, guess that's what started it off. And what really sort of like kept me into it was when I realized that how much things I knew by the time I was like 15 and 16 that other people didn't know, because they were in this very mindset of it's all martial arts, where they didn't know how to differentiate between martial arts and self-defense, and so I was kind of the one that came along to these people that weren't in the know and, you know, explained things to them, and that's where they, you know, kept asking me all these questions, and I realized, I've sort of got a knack for this. Maybe I can, you know, actually teach this stuff to people, which I started doing just as a charity, and then, you know, after a while I started, you know, having so many people that I kind of needed to pay my expenses and travel fees and stuff like that by, you know, asking people for a bit of money, so, you know, so yeah, no, I guess it was just that, the fact that I just like being able to, you know, not have to deal with shit cunts on a regular basis. Let's see, what's the worst injury you've sustained while working or training in self-defense? I don't know, well, that kind of depends on what you consider to be a worst injury. Is that the one that, you know, where you lost the most blood? Was that the most gruesome looking one? Was it the one that, you know, put you closest to death in another one? Or is it the one that, you know, crippled you for the longest amount of time? Because if we're going by the one that crippled me for the most amount of time, that was when I was about 12. I was also doing a hybrid stick fighting and sword fighting style at the time, which is where they mixed in, excuse me, kenjutsu, kendo, wushu, and a screamer, and, you know, some other styles. And so I was doing a kata out on this little dirt driveway, and so it's like quite thick gravel with rocks about this big, and so there was this, it's like an iceberg principle, where it was a rock I'd say about that big, but about that much of the tip was sticking out of the ground. So as I'm doing my kata and stuff like that, I'm stepping backwards, and I tripped over that, and just landed the rock just the wrong way in my ankle and sprained it, and I couldn't walk for a week, and it was so painful, and it was in wintertime too, and so putting on socks was incredibly painful, but there was no mark or anything like that, but that was the most painful, crippling injury that I've ever had. Like, it didn't even bruise, and so yeah, just that sprain was really bad, and, you know, that's, I had another one that lasted for about a month. The reason why I don't consider that one to be quite as bad is because I'd rather be able to walk than not lift my arm up, and that was a shoulder injury. So I was testing out this technique in that the Marines used. I don't think they use it anymore, for what I was told, and rightfully so. If you ever watch that Human Weapon episode, MICMAP, it's the one, the rolling knee bar effect, where if someone grabs you from behind and bear hugs you, it's strike to the face, lean down, reach in between your legs, grab their leg, and then roll into your shoulder. So I tested that out, on mats, by the way, and so as I did the striking twice and whatnot, the guy let go after the first one, but because I had programmed in my brain to test this technique out and see if it works, after doing this twice to lean down, he pushed me, and I landed the wrong way on my shoulder, and I didn't dislocate the shoulder, but I did shift my entire collarbone out of place. And so if you can sort of, I don't know, well, you can see this on screen, maybe not that much, but so if you notice here how my finger's moving a little bit more rapidly, that's because this is the good collarbone, and the bone is meant to stick out a little bit more than what this one is. So this one's embedded back in the muscle, and it still clicks if I move my arm the right, and like tighten the muscles in the shoulder and do this, it goes and I need to make sure to sleep on a soft bed. If it's not completely soft, then sleeping on this side, because I toss and turn and shit, and I'm a side sleeper. Yeah, this side tends to ache a little bit, so you know, if I can help it, I'll try and sleep on my right hand side. So yeah, this one was pretty bad, and I couldn't do a push-up or anything like that on this side. I had to do it single-handedly with this side. You know, in the first week or two, I couldn't raise my hand any higher than this. It looked like I was fucking hailing Hitler everywhere. Just, yeah, that wasn't all that great, but, you know, other than that, I know, I think I've kind of been lucky with every other injury I've gotten, but, you know, I've gotten, like, you know, just random cuts with knives and stuff like that up here and top of the head, and, you know, I've been hit in the head with a shovel a couple of times. You know, was cut across the bicep when the crazy ex of mine had a knife to my throat, which the blade was pointing this way, and I only remember taking it to this side of my body, but it obviously must have crossed this side, because how else would I have gotten a cut there, you know? So yeah, it's pretty amazing how memory can get blocked out when that adrenal rush kicks in. And I've had a nail put right through my foot as well, so yeah, that wasn't bad. I also had a corkscrew twisted into my knee. Yeah. I'm not going to get into that story, but I'm sure with some imagination you could probably figure out the context of that story. And so where the knee is, like, say, this here's, you know, the knee just, like, right above where the kneecap is where it was twisted into, so, like, underneath where the cap is. Yeah, that kind of hurt. So, yeah, I don't know, I don't really have the story where I'm like, you know, I was in Vietnam, a grenade went off, and, you know, half my arm got blown off, I could see bone. You know, I don't have any stories like that, sorry. And so, let's see, last question by this guy as well that he asked was, do you like to cook? If so, if so, what? Huh, seems like I'm the only person asking. Damn straight. Yeah, I actually love to cook. You know, yeah, I'm pretty much the guy that does 90% of the cooking around the house, and so I like to make a whole wide different variety of things. Typically everything I make has meat in it. You know, occasionally I might make something that doesn't have meat in it. Nothing to do with veganism or vegetarianism. It's just the fact that sometimes I don't have meat in the house and I need to improvise. So typically it's just a can of, like, there it is. It's just a can of diced tomato, and I might mix that in with some herbs and Worcestershire sauce and, you know, kidney beans and all that, and, you know, maybe a little bit of chili or whatever. So yeah, typically I like, you know, making stuff with a lot of beef, lamb, chicken, bacon. Did I mention I love bacon? Yeah, so, you know, I'm telling you, I like to experiment around with a lot of stuff too. So I'll always go online or, like, look for certain recipes that I think I may like, and then I'll stick to that recipe and make it the way that, you know, it tells you to. And then I'll do a taste test and I go, oh, you know, what else could benefit with this? Maybe a little bit of this sauce, or maybe a little bit of extra salt, or maybe, you know, some of this vegetable, or this or that, or whatever. So, yeah, no, cooking is actually one of my... I find it therapeutic, you know? Not just the eating part, but even, like, the whole process of making a nice meal. The other thing I really like, too, is when I'll cook for other people. So not just the people that I live with, like other friends and stuff. So I'll freeze some of the leftovers, I'll take it around their place, and they'll try it, and they're like, God damn, dude, this is excellent. I'm like, oh, well, you know. So, yeah, there's that. So, yeah. And no, I don't have any aspiration to be a professional cook or chef or anything like that. A lot of people have said, well, you got a passion in this and you're good at it, why don't you go and do this stuff, you know, for a living? I'm like, well, I do have other skills I'm a little bit more passionate in that I like to make an income from, and so when it comes to anything that you really like, I think it's the fact that, at least for me, when I need to make a profession out of it and rely on that for income, it takes the fun out of it. Especially if you're at a restaurant or something like that and you need to get the food ready in, like, a hurry. I can't go at my own pace. There's deadlines to meet, and so I won't be really finding it that therapeutic afterwards. So, yeah, this is something that I just do, you know, for fun, as well as, obviously, so I don't starve to death. But yeah, I'm no Gordon Ramsay or anything like that, but I don't really, without any ego, I don't consider myself to be a average cook either. So I'm a little bit above average, but no, I'm nowhere near like any of the professional chefs or anything like that, no. Especially since a lot of chefs need to make a whole wide variety of different things, even things that they wouldn't eat. I only make things that I eat, that's it. So, you know, especially since I can't eat cream, I'm intolerant to cream and mayonnaise, so I can't eat that stuff either. Dijon mustard, I can't eat. I can eat American-style mustard, but not, you know, Dijon. So I can, you know, kind of limit certain things I can make with those as well. Anyway, so that's all the questions that individual asked me, so I thank you for that. Now to move on to... There's only about 3 or so other questions on here that were asked by other people, so some on Facebook, some in person. Do you have any other siblings that you get along with, was the question. And obviously they've seen my video where I spoke about how much of an amazing human being my sister is. Yeah, I do have other sisters. I got like 5 other brothers and 5 other sisters, so it's just one shit cunt out of all of them. And yeah, so I got like another younger brother who's I think 20 or something at the moment. He's got Down syndrome. I've got other sisters. One lives in Ecuador at the moment. Another one lives way down the bottom of Australia. Okay, maybe not that far down, but Melbourne, which is in Victoria, for those of you who don't live in Australia. And I live on the very southern part of Queensland, because Brisbane, if anyone really wants to know. Yeah, I get along with them. Without mentioning any of their names, the one that lives in Melbourne, she's like of this big, she's like 34, but she's like this big geeky nerd, and so, I love her for that. She's always going to like, Comic-Con and stuff like that, or these, anime conventions, and, dressing up as other characters, which, I don't really do that stuff, but I got nothing against people that want to do it, and I don't understand why there's so much hate towards people that do that want to dress up and have fun. If they legitimately think that they are that character, then that's a mental illness, but if they know that they're just pretending, I don't know what's up with all this hate. I mean, acceptable behavior seems to be people that work Monday to Friday and then get absolutely shit-faced and stuff like that, and, throw up and, you know what I mean, like, and that's considered appropriate behavior? Waking up with your hair stuck to your face with vomit because you drank too much, and yet people want to dress up and, oh, that's such a bad thing. Yeah. Okay, get over yourself. Another sister I have lives, I guess maybe like an hour and a half drive from me. Yeah, we get along okay. Haven't spoken to her in a little while, though. No bad blood between us. It's just, she's doing her own thing, I'm doing my own thing. And, yeah, we pretty much, it's just, inappropriate jokes and sense of humor whenever we're together. She's still kind of a fuckhead. Anyway, if you're watching this, sis, I still love you, but seriously, you're a fuckhead. Anyway, she's kind of like started being a fuckhead whenever she was a teenager, because teenagers since the dawn of time have always been fuckheads. And God forbid, like her, she has daddy issues, because they're going to drag out that bullshit of being a fuckhead until at least the age of, 35, when they finally dislodge their head from their own ass. And, even then, sometimes they need a little bit of help. Usually it involves someone else cunt-hunting them, and with any luck, the inertia fucking dislodges it. But, whatever. But, at least she's all, even though I don't agree with some stuff she's done in her life, she's still, never been a downright cunt to people or to me. So, that counts for something in my books. So someone else asked me, what's my favorite movie, song, and video game? That's technically sort of 3 questions, but I'll answer them all. My favorite movie, and I actually wore this shirt intentionally because I obviously knew this question was one that I would have to answer. My favorite movie is called The Night Comes For Us. It's a Indonesian martial arts action movie with like horror level violence and gore. So this is a shirt that here we go, that I had custom made for me, sort of. This was artwork done, I think, on DeviantArt, and I just got the picture from there, and then there's a website called Redbubble that you can go to, and you just upload the image, and then they'll print it on a shirt for you and mail it to you. So a lot of my shirts pretty much come from that particular website, because I kind of like to wear a bit more, unique shirts of stuff that I really like if it's representing a franchise, and so this is one. So that's my favorite movie. I know a lot of you guys out there probably would have seen a lot of martial arts films and stuff like that too, mostly from Asia, because they do the better martial arts movies. Don't give a fuck what anyone says. Yeah, there have been some American movies that have done good martial arts scenes and stuff, but really Asia, that's where it's at. And if you've ever seen the Raid movies, a lot of the main characters from the Raid films are main characters in this movie. It's not the same director, but goddamn, like, it's on Netflix, so if you got Netflix, seriously, go check it out. Okay, The Night Comes For Us. I don't really want to say anything about it, but all you need to know is that it takes about maybe 20 minutes for the action to really kick in, and once it does, it's essentially just non-stop, so really love this movie. And if there was a checklist for a film, like, this would have ticked all of them off. Like, really good martial arts without use of a wire. Check. Really cool, choreographed fight scenes as well as cinematography to match. Check. Cool characters. Check. Neo-noir cinematography and, or rather, like, presentation. Check. So, anyway, yeah, that's my favorite movie. It only was released in October 2018, so if, before that, my favorite movie was Terminator 2. And this movie didn't replace that film. I still love both. It's just, I go by what my favorite movie is based on how, I guess, like, passionate and obsessed I am with it, as well as the amount of times I've watched it. and I mean this without one word of exaggeration, based on how many times I've seen this film since it came out, blah, 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 it would have been at least 150 times I've watched this movie, okay? At least. So, that should tell you something. My favorite song. It's by a Swedish... I don't really know what the genre is. I've just on my iTunes, I just labeled it under post-hardcore, but other people say it's melodic metal, or other people say it's like alternative metal, or post-rock, or blah blah blah. Like, I don't really fucking care, but so if you listen to any like post-hardcore bands or rock bands or anything like that where they do a cover of pop songs, and those covers most of the time always sound better because, you know, they're no longer a pop song, they make it sound decent and listenable. These guys, it kind of, all their songs are original, except one by a band called Killing Joke, and they also did a cover of Numb by Linkin Park, but all the rest of the songs are original songs, but they kind of sound as if they were like covers of songs that were originally pop songs, if that makes sense. But anyway, my favorite song by them is titled Calling. That's it, so C-A-L-L-I-N-G, Calling. And there's two versions of it. So there's a version which is like half screaming and half singing, and there's another radio edited version which is just all singing. And so, you know, they'll be on YouTube. I'll actually put in the description of this video the trailer for The Night Comes For Us, and yeah, the video clip for the song Calling, and yeah, the radio edited version, because the video clip is like the main album version. And I don't really know if a lot of you guys would really get into this or not, but you know, it's what I like. Keep in mind, I really do love metal, like Machine Head, Old School, Slipknot, Fear Factory, Chimera, Arch Enemy, stuff like, you know, the list goes on. But there are some other melodic music and stuff that I like as well. It's not just limited to metal. I also really love melodic rock music and, you know, and all that as well. So, but ultimately, I had to have a favorite song, and that's what it is, and that's the name of it. And it's a heartbreak song as well. And so, on the video clip, there's the name of the band pops up, I'm pretty sure. Then after that, the word Calling comes up, but it's in a unique font. I'm for sure it was hand drawn and then digitally edited into the video. And so I got that tattooed on my chest. Not trying to flash anyone here, but there you go. That's actually the way that it's drawn in the video clip. And so I screenshotted that, cropped it, took it to a tattoo place. They put it right there. And I got it here because, well, I wanted to keep it close to my heart, because when your heart's broken, it's calling for someone. So yeah, that's why I got that one there. So that's not enough proof that it's my favorite song. There you go. I don't have any other songs tattooed on me. Okay, video game. Well, Turok 2, before it was even remastered recently, that was still my favorite game, and it was originally released on the Nintendo 64, was later ported to the PC, and now if you own a Nintendo Switch, an Xbox One, or just have a computer, you can get the remastered version, and the remastered version is so much better. Keep in mind, the original was still my favorite game before it was remastered, and the remastered just, oh my god, yeah, it's really awesome. I love it. So yeah, Turok 2, I really loved that game growing up because you know, most people just like to play a game for the content, whereas I kind of like to look at everything that the game has to offer. And so I really love the storyline, I love the characters, I love the worlds, I love the weapons, I love the gore, the way the creatures and enemies, I guess, were designed. And the music was really amazing as well. And so, yeah, the first Turok game, which the remastered is just called Turok, the original was called Turok Dinosaur Hunter. So the sequel, Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, yeah, that's the one that I really love. And so, man, I wanted that game to be remastered for years, and finally it was done. And so, on my other channel, which I've mentioned on this channel before, where I just talk about movies and games and stuff, I did a review on it, so it's on there if you want to watch that. As far as a more modern game, there's one that came out 2007 called The Darkness. There was a sequel for that as well, which I wasn't that into, but the original one, it's made by Starbreeze. They made the Chronicles of Riddick video games, as well as I think they did Payday. They either made, no, Payday 2, they either made it or they published it, or produced it. I can't remember which one, but yeah, so the first Darkness game, I liked it. It was based on a comic book I never heard of, and yeah, that had really awesome music as well. For the time, the graphics were really awesome. It had a neo-noir thing to it, so of course I'm in. Yeah, I don't know, just play the game. If you can if you have a Xbox 360 or a PS3, then you can play it on that. If you also own an Xbox One, it's backwards compatible. So, right. And the very last question. Video has to come to an end sometime. What is the most meaningful thing someone ever said to you? I had to think about this one as well, and you know, I already knew like the expected answer that I was supposed to say. I meant to say something like, I love you, because you know that's meant to be the most meaningful thing, which for me it's not. And I'm going by the experiences that I've had with what people have said to me over the years, and I've stopped and thought, you know, which is the one that really hit me in the feels. And so, you know, including my own girlfriend, yeah, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, they say we love you to each other all the time. Or sorry, I love you. We, unless you got multiple partners. That is a thing these days, but anyway, not for me, but hey, you do you. But no, the words I love you is not that. The ones that really got to me was when someone said to me, I forgive you. So, yeah. That was the one that kind of like, was like, fight the feels. Because it really sucks when you do something and then you really regret doing it and then you're legitimately apologetic and then the people still are bitter at you for something that you did. Even if it's something that's not that bad. I mean, if you raped their kid, okay, fair enough, you're a piece of shit. But if you just maybe like weren't the best friend to them, which, you know, in my case was the situation. But yeah, hearing those words, I forgive you, was very uplifting. Like I felt this big weight come off my shoulders, you know, like it was like I was carrying around this burden of, you know, I don't know, I guess like carrying around this older, outdated version of me. And so the person that said it to me, though, wasn't the best friend to me either. So, you know, we met up years later and then patched things up. So that was cool. But yeah, so, yeah, and if I had to further analyze that, the reason why I guess, you know, someone saying they forgive you is a bit more meaningful to me than someone saying I love you, is because you can still, I guess, love someone but not forgive them. But it's really difficult to, you know, forgive someone and also not love them. So, you know, yeah. Well, no, maybe it's not, like, that much more difficult, but I'm just saying, like, you know, for me personally, yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Probably shouldn't have made this one the last question. It seems like I was very unintelligent with answering that one, but anyway. I'm sure you guys are smart enough to know where I was trying to get with that, so, anyway, that's all. So anyway, hey, thanks for tuning in to listen to me blabber and stuff like that. This has been kind of fun for me, though, being able to pass the time and stuff like that, and, you know, letting you guys know a little bit more about me, because I like engaging with, you know, you guys and, you know, the people that, seem to enjoy what I do here, so, anyway. I appreciate that, and appreciate all you guys, so thanks for tuning in. I'll try and get more content out there when I can. And so, yeah, until next time, stay safe.